the problem right now is that ESG really kind of has a stranglehold on the asset management, financial industries, and the top corporations as a result of that. So ESG is environmental, social, and governance. It's a set of standards or criteria that are pretty ill-defined, but nevertheless are used by ESG activists to pressure corporations to move further and further left on a whole host of issues. And the problem is that the asset managers, there's about 3 of them, BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, that own an unbelievable trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in investment assets, and they vote in favor of ESG proposals in front of corporations at their annual shareholder meetings all the time. There's also these proxy advisory firms who advise essentially the rest of the investment world how to vote, and they are also beholden to the left. So you basically have 50+% of the vote already locked in for ESG. And so it's very easy for them to very quickly get the outcomes they want with corporations. So we have to bust that up and we have to solve for that. But the other thing we have to do is create a positive vision for what a business culture that respects religious freedom and free speech looks like, and advocate that corporations move away from the kind of sensorial, religiously hostile vision of ESG and back towards one that respects people of all views and values.
Jeremy Tedesco joining us today, Senior Counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom, Senior Vice President of Corporate Engagement here at the National Religious Broadcasters Convention 2023 in Orlando, Florida. Well, as we look at the Viewpoint Diversity Index that your corporate engagement team publishes, so how does a company increase its standing or increase its index in the Viewpoint Diversity Index? What are some of the criteria there that you're looking for as you analyze the practices of these various companies?
Sure. The easiest lift for a corporation is to fill out our survey. Just like the left has probably 400 or so, who knows, it's hundreds of surveys and rating systems that they send to these companies, and the companies divulge all this information to left-wing ESG activists, but they're not being equally transparent when it comes to our values and concerns. So we send each of these companies a survey. The easiest thing for them to do, because they get free points for it, is to fill out our survey and be transparent about their policies and practices that impact free speech. But there's a lot of easy lifts. For instance, most of these corporations have employee matching gift programs, but a lot of them actually bar faith-based nonprofits from being able to receive donations through those programs. Well, that's religious discrimination.
Right.
It's sending a message of exclusion to religious and faith-based employees. And so we have 42 performance indicators that are all objective and fair, and we think a lot of them are pretty easy lifts for corporations to really turn the corner fast.
So tell me how this actually then begins to affect individual consumers.
Sure. Well, ESG impacts individual consumers because the primary goal of the social aspect of ESG, is to drive censorship, to drive hostility to religious and political speech. And the activists do that in several ways, but one of the ways is by imposing DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion, on these workforces. And essentially, if people aren't willing to bend the knee to critical race theory, which is part of DEI in its worst forms, or critical gender theory, then those people get pushed out of the corporation. So people lose jobs, consumers lose access to financial services or access to digital services if they hold the wrong views in the minds of these activists. And that's what they're demanding through the S. They want to deplatform people. They want people to lose their jobs who aren't willing to go along with the program. And that's something we have to push back on.